This episode of the Crackcast is brought to you by our friends at BigDoor24.pl. It's a new service that not only matches expats with local property experts who speak their language, but it gives you cash-back discounts on successful credit applications. So go to BigDoor24.pl, that's BigDoor24.pl. Find out all the information you need to get the mortgage you want. Again, BigDoor24.pl. Make sure you use the special promo code CRACKCAST to get a great cashback offer. And now, on with the show. So we're excited to welcome back one of our favorite guests. She was here, 5 or 6 months ago, I think. She is an erotic intelligence trainer, a sex educator, a sex coach, a sexologist. You notice a theme here, maybe? She works professionally helping people improve this aspect of their lives. Antonina Dębogórska, welcome back to the Crackcast.
Welcome back.
Yeah, it's good to see you again.
Thank you for having me again.
All right, let's talk about, sex. Let's start with a general question. In your profession, is there such a thing, or is there a agreed upon definition for a normal sex life?
Well, it's very hard, that definition of normal. In general, this is the most common question we are getting. This is phenomenal that also you are asking me this question, that everybody wants to be normal, and wants to know what is normal in terms of their sex life, if the quantity of sex is normal, if the way they are doing it and the way they are getting turned on is normal. But I think what is normal is not like what we are doing, because norms is totally above our interest. We just need to think as a sex therapist and sexologist about boundaries. Where is the boundary which we shouldn't cross in sex? This is actually the same question. And whatever you and your partner are happy about, and it's not causing you, like death or injuries, like very, very major one, it's normal.
A minor injury is okay.
Yeah, so I think normal is what you know what? The funny thing is that I stopped actually understand this question, because I would have to hear first your definition of normal.
But wait a second, because
normal.
I ask because and I kind of guessed that you were going to say that
yeah,
normal can mean different things for different people, and it's a very elastic, wide general definition. Okay, fine, I get that, but if that's what a normal sex life is, almost anything, no major injuries, right? Then where do you start to define abnormal? Because certainly there are abnormal things, abnormal ideas, abnormal habits, things that negative things that you don't want to encourage in people. So if you can't say where normal is, how do you say where abnormal starts?
Okay, so we are having actually two approaches in sexuology and sex coaching and in general sex help. One of this is something which is based on the DSM, which is like statistic manual for mental disorders. And this is where you can find diagnosis, which gives you informations about what is paraphilia, for example, or disorder, sexual problems, let's say. And this is one kind of approach when you are getting diagnosed and I am telling you, okay, your paraphilia is that you are turned on by tree. Like trees is something which turns you on. You are willing.
Is that a thing?
Yes, it is.
That'll be Dave, won't it?
Yeah, Dave's not here today. Let's talk about Dave. He's not here. Let her defend himself.
Perfect opportunity.
Yes, so dendrophilia is the name.
Okay, we don't mean to make fun of, people have different problems. We don't want to laugh at anybody, but trees, really?
Like, okay. I thought that Dave might have it. And, for... And
He has a problem with trees, but I don't think it's
Turkey
quite in
tree.
the same way.
it's very rare, but it happens. It happens. Like, we are having some statistics about sex, so we can say actually what is normal.
So there
in
is a scientific
science.
kind of medical framework that you can use as a reference.
Exactly, we
guess,
can,
right?
but we don't want to in the second approach. Now I will talk about second approach, which says, okay, but do we really need that DSM in sex therapy?
Sorry, what's DSM again?
Like that manual for mental, like the Bible of the mental disorders, let's say.
The Bible of Mental. That sounds like a
Yes.
good name for an album. The Bible of Mental Disorders.
It's going to be an interesting read, isn't it?
Yeah, diagnostic.
So diagnostic something what?
Yeah, diagnostic statistic manual for mental disorders.
Okay, so it's kind of like the as you said, the Bible of medical. This is where you start when you're looking for a diagnosis. And
Yes.
okay, are love life and sex life the same thing?
No, not always. That depends.
How deeply are they connected, or are they connected?
That's vary from individual to individual, because what is actually turning us on can be totally,
Trees, for example.
yes, can be totally opposite of things which we are connecting with love. It can be everything which fuels our dark side, like all the forbidden things, all the dark things, all the taboo, all the things which we shouldn't do, and this is all things which are hot. And in terms of love,
Sorry. Define hot.
like I can define it only in opposition to what is love, and love can be warm. You know, it's everything which is safe, stable, and hot is what's getting us rush, excited.
Like a lust kind of.
Lust, yes, like all rush in desire and sex. And love doesn't have to be like passionate. It can be completely different, even between two people which are in like a romantic relationship.
Can you have a very good love life and a disastrous sex life at the same time? Or non-existent sex life? Possible?
If you are happy with that you have only love life and not sex life in the same relationship, then you can be happy. So you can succeed on that. It's on your opinion. It's on your judgment.
I want to bring in Dr. Mike and Josh here in just a second, but before I do, I've got one more question. In your experience, now I know you deal obviously with people who have issues they want to work out. So, your professional experience is focused on people who are not satisfied with their sex lives. But in your general opinion, and when you look at society as a whole, do you think most adults are happy with their sex lives, or most people have some kind of complaint about their sex lives?
Well, I think everyone in the one point in their lifetime had some kind of sexual struggles. I would say that would be 100. That in some point of life, you might have this moment of not being satisfied or with something which cause you distress in terms of sex.
And do you think for most people that dissatisfaction is related to the frequency of sex, quality of sex? Both?
Yeah, it can be both. Maybe quality, because quality is more breed term. So frequency, frequency is very easy to measure, right? So this is why we are putting this topic on when we talk in the common language. The common conversations are a lot about frequency. Because it's easy, right? Just to say, okay, 3 times a week it's a lot, 1 time a week it's like average, and less than, actually we have the definition that less than every once a month, which is 11 times a year. If you have sex less than this, then that mean in some kind of theory, which I am not keen on, that you are in sexless marriage or you are sexless couple.
Is this in the Bible of mental disorders? Is this
I'm not sure if DSM have that, but I'm sure that it used to be like something for, we can say that from the statistics,
So
in
somebody
some research,
says that, let's call it once a month. If you're married and if you're having sex less than once a month, there's likely a problem.
I wouldn't say it.
You wouldn't say it, but they do. Or the medical or the psychological community does. Or whose word is this? Whose theory is this?
To be honest, I don't remember, because it's very, very hard, very, very old-fashioned.
Well, and then in your opinion, what is that number? Is there a number?
It's not a number, in my opinion.
If you don't have sex for 3 years, is there a problem?
That depends if you are calling it the problem.
5 years, 10 years.
If
never?
if it's problem for you, then we can try to solve it somehow and work on it. But I am not keen on putting any statistic frames. I'm not really. I don't need that. To be honest, in practice, you don't need that.
Dr. Mike, Josh, jump in here.
You mean you've run out of questions for the time being?
I got a few more. I got to check the internet. I got to check my Facebook page. I got things to do.
Got to be up to date. Okay, well, hello. And I just want to ask a question which I think a lot of our foreign listeners might be interested in. Well, to be quite blunt, do you think there's anything that may be different in Poland when it comes to sexuality compared to other countries that foreigners coming here who are interested in a physical or intimate relationship should probably know about? I mean, I'll ask in another way. What do Polish girls want in the bedroom? And, I'm just asking for a friend.
Yeah. That would be me. Yeah.
I love that, asking for a friend. I love it. Yeah, this is what most of questions people are asking me for a friend, actually. So
it's all the same friend, probably.
So, I have some kind of opinions about it, but I wouldn't like to be any stereotype, keener, like cheerleader, or let's say. So, of course, it is different from country to country, because of our history and our common traumas, which are causing change in our sexuality. And also think that we are Catholic, church-ruled country, which hasn't have any sex education, no sex education, is taking us in the position of having a little bit different, let's say, habits or different tendencies than people who were brought up in completely different conditions, like in Sweden, where they have the access to great sex education and different approach to this topic, So I think it is some differences for Polish girls. And I wouldn't like to guess. Actually.
Oh, come on, guess. This isn't a paper. You're not going to be quoted or anything like that.
Antonina, I'm sorry. I like you a lot. I really like you a lot. And I'm sorry for what I'm about to do, but I've got to disagree with you. I got to argue with you. That's kind of my job here. That's what I do.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got to disagree with you. Okay. You mentioned sex education in schools. One. Okay, that's a separate issue. We can talk about that some other time. But in today's world, with pop culture everywhere, you mentioned Sweden, for example. Let's say Swedish kids, Swedish teenagers, they have largely the same life experience as Polish kids and Polish teenagers. With the age of the internet, access to condoms in every store. I mean, really, what deficit could Polish people, Polish women have in terms of their awareness of how sex works and even the biological aspect of it, the social aspect of it? I'm not sure I agree with this. I'm trying to say this as softly and delicately as I can.
Yeah.
But I'm not sure that I buy this idea that Polish women have a significantly... Why am I saying women? Did you say women or just people?
I asked at the end, women for a friend.
All right. So anyway, Polish people... If it's really their approach to sex is really that different, can we generalize? I don't know.
No, this is what I said, that some conditions are different that might cause a difference if you are for example, working in one country for 20 years and you work in for example, this is a good example, Sweden and Polish. I bet that if we had the Swedish sex therapist here, they might tell us something a little bit different than when you are talking with someone who works only with Poles. Because actually the thing we are talking about now, when I have someone in sex therapy, I have to talk about that all biased. I have to talk about all the cultural and even political bias to sexuality.
Complicated.
Well, yeah, it's comprehensive. It's a lot of factors which are actually building your sexual development. But you put on very interesting thought that our experience is now very similar because we are in globalized society where the Swedish teenager has similar, for example, internet is giving us that similar experience as Polish teenager.
Yeah, we all watch the same porn.
Yes, you are watching the same porn, but you are actually giving that porn different meaning. And this is the thing where your sexual development might be individualized in terms of where you are born.
I see where you're going with this. I see.
You might feel good with that, with watching porn. You might feel normal. You might feel okay. This is what I do because this is part of
my friend does. Yes.
Yeah.
Our friend does.
Or you might feel shameful, and you might feel that you, I don't know, causing sin, or you are doing something good, or you are cheating on some rules you are having, but you are having the same experience. Like, you know, you might see the same porn, but experience is something which we are creating with what meaning we are giving to things.
Okay, you're not mad at me for challenging you on that point, are you? No? Okay.
Maybe.
Guys, I've been looking for a good opportunity to do this. I think in this conversation it's going to be hard, but it's going to be difficult, I should say. But I want to say a word from our sponsor. BigDoor24.pl. All your real estate needs, buying, selling, renting a place. They've got the people, all the resources that you need to help you out and get the deal that you need. That's BigDoor24, the numbers 24.pl. Use a /crackcast for a special cash back offer. So that's BigDoor24.pl /crackcast.
They'll help you find a place with a bedroom. So now we can get back to talking about what happens in the bedroom.
Right. See, there's a connection here.
With
It's all
bonded
related.
girls.
It's all related.
Uh-huh.
We mentioned porn. A serious question about porn, as serious as a question about porn can be. As a sex therapist, is porn damaging to relationships? Can be helpful to relationships? It's degrading. It's empowering. What's kind of the academic psychologist approach to pornography in the context of sex therapy and sex problems?
That of course depends, and it can be both great tool for improving your quality of life and relationship and sex life, and it can also be a problematic for your life and relationship. Like, we can say that you overindulge porn if you, for example, if that influence different spheres of your life. If you, for example, can't get through the day work without masturbating with porn or watching porn like 3 times, I don't know. It's like numbers out, like it's also on your judgment. Or if your relationship is now replaced with the porn, you know, if you are having partner and your partner is eager to have sex with you, and you are having some kind of like decrease of sex life, and you are replacing it with porn. This is very common problem, actually. This is very common, and younger clients are actually coming to the offices with this kind of struggles, even 20, 22.
You hear this a lot, that both genders kind of have their expectations for a healthy sex life completely distorted by what they see in pornography.
Yes, that's the one of major problems, and also that they can get conditioned to certain things they see on porn, and this is what they try to like do with their partner in the bedroom, and then that partner might not be eager to do so. Right? So the sex is turning into masturbation because I am expecting from my partner to do certain things, you know, without even knowing if that person will enjoy it or not. So I don't actually getting turned on by enjoyment of that person. So it's not like mutual, it's only one-sided act. But I want to explain why it happens, you know, because porn is actually solving a lot of troubles with sex is surrounded with. We have something which is performance anxiety, which is rooted in horrible toxic masculinity myth, that man has to be the sexual machine and has to be always eager to have sex and has to be dominant at bed and has to know what he's doing always without any communication with partner. So when you have that kind of pressure, you start to have performance anxiety. And this is how you have the porn models, you know, which doesn't have any needs, doesn't pressure you on anything, can turn you on somehow because actually male erection is very easy to condition to anything. Like we said, trees.
Trees.
Yes. And
wood.
Yeah.
and they don't have needs. They don't pressure you. You can do it anytime. You will not get rejected, which is also like quite big issue, right? For the sex life and sex like reciprocity, right?
So because porn is all about the physical act and not the emotional love aspect of the relationship, is that what you have in mind? Or
Yeah, can be. Like, if it's problematic, it mostly is. It's mostly that. But it can also be like some kind of turn on or inspiration for couples. It can also be something for single people who do with very positive atmosphere of, okay, I am now celebrating my sexuality with porn. That's great.
So you're saying that porn can cause serious problems and can solve or help to solve serious problems too?
I wouldn't say that solves serious problems, but it can be also a positive thing.
Can you imagine yourself as a professional, as a therapist, can you imagine yourself suggesting or recommending watching porn to a client?
Yes, of course, it happens.
Yes?
It happens. Like, it's porn and porn. Some porn we are now having something which is called ethical porn. And this is...
Sorry, what kind of porn?
Ethical porn. Ethical.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Organic.
Trade
Vegan
porn.
porn.
Trade conflict-free, some kind of certified, ethical. Can we take a side journey into the world of ethical porn for just a minute? Do you know what are the characteristics that identify ethical porn?
So, first of all, we need to be aware that a lot of porn we see on Pornhub and other very free access porn websites is recorded with actors who were, for example, not eager to do porn, let's say. Or they were pushed by the financial situation, and we don't know the source of it. It's like with our T-shirts, which we don't know who actually made.
Slave labor.
Yes, exactly. So the same with porn, and now we are having ethical porn, which has a lot of ideas behind. But the first main idea is that the actors were paid, so you have to pay for this porn. And also, second,
Sorry, the actors were or were not paid?
Were, of course,
They
paid.
were paid. Okay.
Yeah, they were paid. And second ideas of that. This is the foundation of that idea, is that you are having actors who maybe look like more normal people, who are more like experiencing what, let's say, normal people. Like, I'm saying normal people comparing to porn models, which are very, like, let's say, narrow group. You know, narrow group
Dr.
of
Mike,
look.
you've seen porn models?
I think I've come across them a few times, yeah.
Yes. So you understand, you know? So we have more varieties of bodies, more shapes, more genders, more race. Like, it's not
More
like
recognizable as a regular person and not obviously a porn star.
Yeah, this is it, because I always have this conversation that, okay, but Pornhub also has a lot of races and shapes and stuff. That's true.
Yeah,
that's true. But it's different when it's fetishized, and it's different when we are watching something which was made in some kind of like more natural.
So are you saying that you can recommend ethical porn with a clear conscience? In other words, as a professional, you're happy to recommend ethical porn, but for example, the Pornhub variety, maybe not so much.
Like, because of that one thing, that when I am paying for my porn and my clients are paying for my porn, they are sure that they have it from the legal, like, consensual resource. Especially when we talk about ethical porn, which is, for example, like one of the biggest director, which is Erika Lust.
Where do you find ethical porn, by the way? Probably on Pornhub, I guess.
No, actually, I was reading about it, and then I started to browse it. And also,
it's hard to imagine how they could keep that in the world of porn. How could they keep that separate? Like, you know, somehow legitimate. Like, you know, you're watching proper ethical porn. It seems like something the porn industry would co-op kind of immediately and just make it their own. I don't know. It's a separate issue.
It's about money. It's all about money. They are having their separate website. You have to pay for it. You have to subscribe them. I actually got the great list of ethical porn of one of sex coach training. They gave us that list. So this is how I got it.
All right, let's bring before we got on the tangent about ethical porn, we were talking about whether or not you would recommend porn to a client. You said sometimes you would. There are situations where you say, yes, what you need to do is to watch this, and this might help.
Yeah? I can suggest that, yes.
In our first conversation a few months ago, I asked a variation of the question I'm going to ask again. I'm going to give you some more specifics this time. It's on the subject of when two people want different things. maybe very different things, or at least one half of the couple wants something and the other half maybe hasn't thought about it or objects to it. And I'll give you some specific examples. You tell me what you think. Let's say one part of the relationship says, you know what, I think we should have a threesome. And the other side says, I'm leaving you. It's over. Now, how do you break this down? How do you interpret this? One side, I want a threesome, is saying, look, this is what I'm interested in sexually, and I think maybe it'll make us better. The other side says, this is clearly way past my boundaries, and I don't trust you anymore, whatever. I know we can't talk about it in terms of right and wrong, but what happened here in a situation like this?
This is great topic to come to sex therapist's office. Because in other way, that might be really like all the insecurities from both sides, which would be around these differences, might came out. And what would be my job is to really make it clear what it means for that woman and what that means for this guy or whatever gender they are. And, to make sure why is she so insecure about it, to make this guy to hear it, to hear her all struggles about that topic. Why is it so harmful for her? Why she reacted this way? Why she feels like
you're assuming that he asked for the three-way and she said, I'm leaving. You're assuming that.
Yes, because it's quite common male fantasy, actually.
Okay.
This is why I assume.
You got me there. Okay, fine.
This is why I assume it, but I shouldn't. That's very good point, that I shouldn't assume it, But I just wanted to have one case.
Who do you think who caused the problem? Was it is it him for suggesting? Let's say he did it. Is it him for suggesting it, or is it her for saying it's over? Who pushed the relationship to this crisis point?
This is not problem. This is great chance for them.
This is a great chance?
This is great chance for them.
I'm trying to imagine the look on her face when you tell her this is a great chance for you that your boyfriend said she wants to have a threesome.
Yeah, because it's great chance for her to understand what monogamy and not having threesome means for her and what would mean and what meant for her when he said that he wants it. Because for him, it was just might mean something completely different than for her. And it's excellent moment for them to get to know each other and understand each other and stop judging each other for having feelings like this. She has right to feel insecure about it and angry about it because, and this is when we start to conversation, because she feels that she is not enough, that she is not attractive anymore, that she doesn't arouse him anymore, that he actually is hiding some kind of sexual space from her, which she has no access to because he needs another person to do so. So she feels totally light by him because she believed that she's enough, and now she's feeling like she's not enough. That's very common, feeling not enough when someone wants to approach another person to bed. I'm just saying it's not the only feeling you might have about threesome. It might be something different, but actually monogamy and being the one is something which we have rooted in our romantic love myth. We base our identity if relationship if that we are chosen, and the second person will never ever have to see another person in the sexual way. This is the fantasy we want to live. And it's almost never the truth. This is where I come and I say, okay, that both of you are having your secret gardens where you are having your sex fantasies, and your man is actually sharing his fantasy with you and trusting you in the way to tell you that maybe you might be eager to fulfill it with him.
But he went a little bit too far, maybe a lot too far. Yeah?
Yes. I just imagine this couple in my office,
I'm trying to imagine the woman still saying, oh, really? This is a chance to improve my relationship? Are you insane?
No.
And then she runs out the door.
Discussion.
But not discussing the threesome, not to have a threesome, but discussing also for him. Why? What is his need behind it?
Okay, wait, you said that, and you're right, this threesome is the common male fantasy. Can you tell us, without, obviously your conversations with your clients are private and confidential, so we understand that. But can you give us an example, a random example of another frequent issue, like proposing a threesome that might push a couple to a crisis point because one side of the relationship said, this is, I want us to go in this direction, and the other side says, whoa, that's no. Is there something else like that?
Mm-hmm. Like very common is differences in what we said before, frequency of sex. So the most common is that one partner, like male or female, also very common, wants to have sex more often than second partner. And actually, if we are talking about these transgressive problems, which we discussed before, transgressive, I mean crossing the boundaries, like threesome or BDSM or whatever it is, which is
trees,
sexual fantasies.
Trees, more trees.
Yes, so trees. Yes, actually, if it's that, it's totally like so much easier than this problem which I'm talking about, which is the quantity of sex, right, and the desire discrepancy. Like this is serial thing very often because. Would
you say that's the most common issue you deal with?
I would say this is the most common issue which I deal with couples. Difference in desire, in sexual way.
And can you give us the short version of the best answer to that problem? One side wants more, one side is happy with the way it is. I'm assuming it's always I want more. It's never I want less, right? People don't complain about that. Yes, it happens.
Yeah, that can happen that a woman or a man is saying that she wants it all the time, he wants it all the time. Mm-hmm. I don't want it so often. I'm exhausted. Whatever,
So what's the way to bring the two sides together in that situation?
Understanding the meaning behind the sex in general, understanding that that might be the love language of one of side. The sex might be the love language, so they must to understand their languages. And also sometimes it's power struggle, and very often it's also rooted that we can control the second partner with how much we want it or not. Because if you are the side who wants something from me, and I am someone who say yes or no to giving it to you, I have this kind of control and power. And this is how I control all our sex life. Because then, if we are having these differences that you want sex like 10 times a week, I want sex 1 time a week, then when I want it, you have no possibility to say no. You won't say no.
Power games.
Not always, but often. And sometimes it's just work for individual therapy. One person might have like something in their history, in their like personality or other factors who they might work on, which is obstacle to their desire and their happy sex life. Because actually having desire for your long-term partner is something which needs courage, which needs a lot of balls. Really.
Wow. I didn't expect you to put it that way. But.
Yes, because you are, the more you know someone, the more you're eager to make that person safe and predictable.
I got one more question for you before I let you go, but I'm going to put a condition on your answer, okay?
Thank you.
You have to choose one or the other. You cannot say it depends.
Oh, no.
You cannot say somewhere in the middle. You have to choose.
I knew that will come.
A or
Cheeky.
B. That is the condition of the question. Okay.
I am not promising you this.
One. Okay. Here's the question. In your experience, which is more common? Problems that start in the sex life that spread to other aspects of their lives, or problems that start in other aspects of their lives that migrate to the sex life? Is the sex life the source of the problems that go other places, or is the sex life the target of problems that start in other places? Do you understand what I mean?
Yes.
Okay. Which is more common in your experience? He's thinking about it.
In relationship, definitely it's the answer A.
I forgot. What was the answer A?
A was that first starts from sex, and then come father.
So it starts in the sex life, and then they have trouble sleeping. They're frustrated at work. They have less enthusiasm in other aspects of their lives because the sex life is the foundation.
No, No, because
Did I get that wrong?
It's right and wrong at the same time.
What did I just tell you? I just told you. You cannot do that.
No. I'm saying that why? Because like many times to have the good sex life in relationship, it's also other condition has to be fulfilled. You know, so sorry, but it's
you're
so
totally
circular.
cheating on my condition. I don't think
let's say, I will. I
you're
try to
following
answer
the rules here.
I try to answer it in the most simple way. Very often it happens that this passion, this idealization phase, which needs passion to be alive, you know, comes to the devaluation phase. And this is when sex life stops to be so vibrant and the whole other common issues around housing and, I don't know, children and like whatever, like worldviews coming on the table because we don't have this idealization of our partner.
So the frustration that starts in your sex life manifests itself in these other, like you mentioned, kids, work, professional life,
yes.
leisure time, whatever.
Yes.
All because you're not satisfied with your
Can be.
sex life.
Can be. And it's very often. And this is why people who are having happy sex life, they are sometimes very angry on each other. They are like these explosive couples because they are able to experience all repertoire of emotions in their relationship, but they might be at the end of the day happier than the one who are totally like, you know, how to say, like
I know,
like how to say bored. I don't want to say bored, but
Boring?
people who are avoiding their emotions. People who are avoiding.
yeah, like suppressed or something like, or repressed. That's the word.
Repressed.
Yeah.
This is the word I was looking for.
Repressed.
Oh no.
Gotcha.
We will cut it out.
Yeah.
This moment of silence.
Yeah, we'll cut that out later, right? Yeah, we'll make it sound perfect later. Erotic intelligence trainer, sex coach, sex therapist, sexologist, Antonina Dębogórska. Now, we spoke earlier, you're working on your website where people can contact you. It's not ready yet.
Yes.
But there is another, you're going to give me the link, and I'm going to
Yes.
put the link in the show notes. So anybody who wants to talk to Antonina on a professional basis, contact her at the link in the show notes. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you very much for having me.
Our friend is very happy.
All useful information. Yeah.